Hi, Pedro.
How you doing?
Thanks for helping my project. Could you say a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Pedro Sanchez. I got my background, my Bachelor's of Science in Geology from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. And now I'm a first-year grad student in the PSM in Space Studies. So I'm excited for that.
Me too. High five.
There you go.
Excellent. Well, this may seem like a silly question considering you're already studying space studies, but did you know that NASA's planning to send astronauts back to the moon?
I did, but it is something that I feel like I have to explain to my family because a lot of people maybe they don't understand that we're currently ongoing for Artemis 2 to launch soon, I think in November.
Yeah, November next year.
Next year, right?
Yeah. So when you talk to your family, what kind of reaction do you get?
Well, I particularly talk about space with like my dad, and he loves when I talk to him about it because talking about space isn't something that I feel like a lot of people just have conversations about. I feel like maybe how we should, this is the next frontier, and to be part of like Rice PSM and being on the, like I said, the frontier of that, that's very exciting. It's very exciting.
I imagine you must get reactions similar to what I do. Don't we have enough problems on Earth? Why don't we go to space?
Right.
What we hope to get from it? Having been to the moon before, do you hear things like this?
Yeah, well, it's understandable. It does cost money. It does cost. It's a lot of research, and yeah, I can understand why some people are maybe hesitant to ask why money isn't going to other things. But I think it's a duty that any advanced civilization should have to understand space and to go out and venture. So, yeah.
And when you said that, it reminded me of a joke. The reasons the dinosaurs are no longer here is because they didn't have a space program.
Yeah. I haven't heard that one, so that's fun.
So you must be pretty excited about us going back to the moon.
I am. Yeah. It's. I wasn't alive during the Apollo missions. Obviously, I was born in 2000. But knowing that Artemis is going on now, that I'm mature enough to potentially maybe work for the program one day and as an internship or something like that is very exciting. And I'm really excited to see how Artemis develops throughout my lifetime. Being so young, I'm only 22 years old, so it's very nice to see.
Which month in 2000 were you born?
November, so the latter half.
Oh, that's amazing. So did you know that the first crew of the continuous habitation of the ISS launched on October 31st? So literally every day of your life there has been somebody in space?
I knew it was in 2000, but I didn't know it was that close to my birthday. So to know that it's older than I am, that's pretty fascinating. Yeah, I didn't know that.
So whenever you think where all this might be leading us, and you fast forward 200 years, what do you see? What comes to your mind?
200 years from now, I expect, in some part at least, for humans to have some sort of base on the moon. Mars could be a little bit more difficult given that it's very far. So a guaranteed trip back might be a little bit difficult. So at that point, it has to be a permanent, if you're going to sign up for this, you're most likely going to live your life there. But I could definitely see some sort of civilization on the moon where we are able to, as a geoscientist, I spent 6 weeks in Utah. We observed outcrops, we took samples, took them to the lab, and you can work out what is this made of and why is this significant for natural resource extraction purposes and that sort of thing. So I definitely see in 200 years that we have scientists, researchers, engineers on the moon.
Do you think we have regular families living their lives?
It's a good question. 200 years from now, it's possible. I think the regular families will be families of people who are actively doing work up there. So if a scientist or engineer, researcher, them in that aspect, I think that they could probably have a family out there, not necessarily civilians just yet. It might be getting close to having civilians up there to go, but I think having a family there is probably like a researcher or a scientist. They probably have a family. It very much could be. It'd be interesting to see how a human can be born, if that's possible. What kind of characteristics go into how they are able to grow healthily, if that's a risk factor that we should consider, maybe not having children of our species born on the moon. But we'll see. 200 years from now, we'll see.
We know that in weightlessness, like insects and small mammals and reptiles, that they do not reproduce well in space.
Right.
That they have like significant, either they unable to produce young, or the young don't live that long.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, considering we're complex, we all come from common ancestors. You know, life is precious, and we need gravity to, you know, grow healthily. So, yeah, who knows? There's gonna have to be research into. I don't know how. You know, I don't really know the biological aspect of how that would be done, but we definitely need more intel on that, if that's safe or not for the future generations of our species.
Yeah, we know 1G is good, 0G is bad, but we don't know if 1/7, 1/6 G
Yeah.
is okay, or 1/3 G, you know,
Right.
maybe it's okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
If you could, would you take a trip to space?
Definitely. I definitely would. I feel like that was something since a kid, since a young kid, there was always something more, you know, that I could do. And I feel like that's my milestone, like dream potential right now is potentially, if I was offered a position to go out in space and help with the next generation's missions, I would definitely say yes.
How far would you consider going? Just to orbit, to the moon? Would you be one of those immigrants to Mars?
To Mars, that's a tough question because it gets into ethical considerations, like with my family and whatnot. I'm single right now, no children, so I would say yes right now. But in a couple years, I would say yes for sure to orbit into the moon. The answer to Mars, I would have to do some reflection on, you know, if I have kids one day and, you know, I have a family, that would be a little harder for me to really make my mind up about that. But I think I would.
I was thinking about a dating site for future Martian colonists. Just go ahead and get that
Yeah,
question out of the way at the
For
beginning.
sure, yeah, I think I would sign up for that maybe.
Well, Pedro, thank you so much for your time. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.